over me. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the Paranormal Portal, Bedtime Stories From Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's a fantastic day here. It was incredibly busy today. Yes, I can speak. I'm learning how. I just been inside, working on a million things, and also helping Mrs. Portal plot her garden and dig up that. So I'm just having a fantastic kind of day. Oh, thanks, Julia. It just happens to be the t-shirt I had on. So, well, thank you. I'll have to wear white more often. Oh, you never know. I mean, I don't mind wearing white. I guess my favorite colors are always darker earth tones kind of stuff, but, grays, blacks, dark greens, dark blues, that's usually what I wear, but I'm not opposed to wearing whites and stuff either. It's just, whites show everything, and I always manage to dribble something down my chin, so it's easier to hide that with a darker color. Just so you know, in case you were wondering what the hell's going on. So welcome to the show, everybody. Hope you're doing well, and I hope you're all set because it's time for bed. Matthew Lerner says white makes you look naughty and innocent at the same time. Well, that's cool. I appreciate that. I hope I don't try to be naughty. Usually, it depends on the circumstances, but you know what I'm saying. I try to be a virtuous and good person in every way that I know how. But, excuse me. Oh, that springtime air. Whew. Here we go. This is the Bedtime Stories, and I'm going to read to you guys some bedtime stories. Put you to bed, put you to sleep. Hopefully not to sleep. I hope you guys stay awake for the duration of the show, but special thanks to both Deb and everyone that participated last night on our weekend shows, on the Friday and Saturday shows. They were amazing, a lot of fun. Really cool group of shows. It was just amazing. We've gotten, tons of feedback on the shows, and we've gotten tons of feedback as well about the future Revolver thing with, and again, if you missed it last night, or was it? Yeah, it was last night. Yeah, last night, we did let the cat out of the bag that we are entering the podcast world, and we have we are signed up with Revolver Podcast, and they are going to be our partners in the podcast realm. So they are going to distribute our shows everywhere that podcasts go, I guess. And they're a great company. They got a great reputation, amazing people. I've been working with them for a few weeks now, or a couple weeks, and just been really amazed and impressed with their level of drive and organization. It's so much beyond my own. But I'm really looking forward to this venture, and it's... If you listen to podcasts, I actually uploaded our first episode tonight, which will be released tomorrow sometime, as I understand it. And that's barring any hiccups or any last-minute things that are supposed to be done. But as far as I understand it, tomorrow it should be launching. So I don't know where you get your podcast, if you get your podcast, but I would really love it if those of you who have been a big supporters of the show would definitely find the Paranormal Portal and subscribe. It'll certainly help us get our foothold in the podcasting world. It's extraordinarily competitive world as well. Much like YouTube is very competitive, and it's tough to poke your head through the crowd like, hey, we're here. But I guess it'll be what it is. It'll be what it'll be. But I know that we've we've got a whole lot of people pulling for us, both all you guys personally and being part of the shows, and some professional people really pulling for us as well. And it's really humbling. It's really cool. It's just an amazing experience. Like, it's nice to have been doing the show for this long, and that it's not only been a labor of love, that it's being recognized not only by you guys, which is of course the most important, because you guys are the reason we're here every night doing this, but also that it can be a labor of love that maybe helps take care of us in so many ways too. So but thank you all for everything you have done up to this point. You guys have made it possible for us to take this next step, and I really, really appreciate it. You guys can't know how much that means to me. So thank you guys so much. I love you guys so much, and thank you for being a part of the Paranormal Portal family. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. This is growing pretty good. I know last week was really frustrating, and I'm sorry for those of you that just tuned in for stories. Sometimes I get emails, very, very rarely, but I get emails like, God, you went on and on and on about nothing. Took forever just to get a story. But I don't think those people really understand what the portal is. That it's not just a dog and pony show. We have a family. We have a community. And, we talk. You guys call in and talk to me, and I talk to you. I share things with you. This is the way the portal works. If you're looking for just stories, just good presentation with just stories, then maybe this isn't the right fit for you. Maybe this isn't the show for you. But if you're looking for a great, amazing group of people and a lot of fantastic conversations, then you're in the right place. So, but I just wanted to take a moment and say thank you, because it's really exciting, and it's really you guys that have done this. So you guys have created this monster. I just turned the lights on. So anyway, let's get to some stories here on this fine evening. It's getting dark finally, and which is fine if it's light out. It means it's getting warmer. The days are getting longer, but I do have some stories pulled up, and I hope you find them absolutely entertaining. Oh, a special thank you again to Mr. Tony Merkel for calling in and hanging out with us. And he wrote a really cool blurb on his Facebook page about calling in and hanging out with us. It was really fun. And what a great guy. Prior to that, I hadn't had a chance to really meet Tony. So that was a first for me, but I can tell you already, I think he's just a really cool guy. And it was really fun to have him call in and be a part of the show. So, all right. And Tony Merkel is also the creator and host of the Confessionals podcast, which is also on the Revolver Network with us, which is really cool. So here we go. Let's see. No, we don't. I'm on the wrong page. Let me go. Here we go. Now we're in the right neck of the woods, ladies and gentlemen, for some spookiness here on this fine evening. The first one tonight is coming out of Nebraska. And it goes like this. I'm going to have to move in a little bit. Ugh, being out in the sun all day, which was wonderful, but my eyes are just a little foggy right now. So here it goes, Nebraska. This all occurred prior to my birth in 1976, and it's not a first-hand account, which makes sense if it was prior to your birth, that it wouldn't be. So I'll just tell you what my mom told me. In the early 70s, my parents bought a small house in Nebraska, and it was their second or third house. I can't remember, but when they moved in, there was a painting from the early 1900s hanging on the wall. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. No. This is one we already read. What the hell is this doing up? I am very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. That's one that I read before. I must not have closed it. Let's try this again. North Carolina coming up next. All right. Says, I've been waking up really early in the morning for apparently no reason, and I'm not sure why, but it's really dark, like 1 a.m., and when I go to see what time it is, it's like someone's following me, maybe watching me. And every time I turn around, nothing is there. Last night, actually, after doing my rounds after I woke up, I was really freaked out. I'm really not afraid of the dark, just what might be in it. So I was thinking I definitely was not going to be able to go back to sleep without some noise. Otherwise, the boogeyman would eat me. So I turned my fan back on and cranked up my radio. And as I was closing my eyes, I heard something that sounded a lot like my dad walking in to wake me up or something. So I roll over and turn around and, well, there's nobody there. This really freaked me out. So I pray and say in my head, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, I demand you not to even state your business and leave the premises forever. And after this, a sense of calmness fell upon the threshold. So I slowly but surely drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I woke up not even aware of what was happening or what had happened the night before, not to remember all day until at 5:37 p.m. on this very day that I'm writing this. Does anyone have any suggestions as to why this is happening to me? I think it's more paranoia than anything, but who am I to say? Please leave comments and try to explain why I am so disturbed. That sounds like they're looking for counseling more than anything. The thing is that I really believe we all have like that sixth sense. And a lot of times if you feel like something's there, then, you might be right. And I think it's probably best to err on the side of caution. It's like to ignore something that you feel is threatening is, of course, foolish. Even if it seems foolish to try to address it, but I would recommend to this person to, do some cleansing, get some cleaning going on in that house. If there is indeed something there, and if not, then whatever. I always say this to people. It's like people believe that saging is like a grand act. Well, it's not. In fact, saging has been proven to be very healthy for you because it actually kills bacteria and stuff in the air. So sage all the time. Hell, burn that stuff daily if you want. It's good for the air. It's good for the air quality, and it pushes away negative energy. So it's like a win-win. If you feel like something might be there, then you might be right. And if you're right and you don't want it there, then you got to get rid of it. So certainly can't do anything wrong by saging. But again, it certainly makes it so much more potent if you believe in the spirituality of it, and not that you need to change religions. That's not what I'm suggesting. They've used incenses in all religions throughout all the world, so it's not in defiance of any religion. It's just a part of our practices, and and it smells good usually. Not that sage really smells good, but if you burn it with sweetgrass, it's really cool. Sweetgrass is a really sweet and wonderful smell. It's just really wonderful. So if you can get your hands on some sweetgrass as well, that makes it even a little more powerful. Or you can burn cedar, and that gives you kind of the pine smell as well, and that's very good. Or you can burn frankincense, and frankincense is really fragrant as well. So there's a lot of things you can do on your own that can help to push away negativity and push away these presences. Now it's not the same thing as quote unquote blessing the house, unless it's done in concert with some sort of religious practice. And it's up to you to determine what that is, because, you've got to use whatever practice resonates with your soul, with your heart. And if you do, then it becomes even more powerful. But at the very least, it is good on its own by virtue of it being sage and whatever, because, it's been used throughout, all the way from ancient history until today. So definitely do that. I think it's, even if you don't believe you have a haunting, ladies and gentlemen, it's really good for just knocking down the heaviness of a home. We live in places and we're always projecting energy. We're always projecting energy. So to sage is to kind of knock down that ambient energy. Now, there are those that believe that even our emotional energy, if left to coagulate and congeal and to grow, can have a sentience of its own. And, that can be really, really problematic. So just go through your house every once in a while and cleanse with the sage. Even if you're just burning the sage, that alone, again, will help to stabilize the energy and to release energy. So great practices. Now, if you do think you have something going on in your home, sage, and there's many things you can do, whether by blessings or holy water or whatever, to seal your home, to keep things from coming in. So, but you'll have to refer to your own religion for that. I'm not going to give a whole lot of ideas. I have before, and that's fine. I mean, I really don't like to cross the whole, you should do this kind of stuff. I mean, sage in and of itself is fine, and incenses are wonderful, and that's a universal practice. So I shouldn't be offending anybody's spirituality by saying that. But if I am, I'm really sorry. It's just, it's just a fact that people have been using sage since all of time, pretty much. But you've got to use whatever resonates with you, whatever is powerful in your heart. So find your answers, in your community of spirituality. All right. So next, let's go to Pennsylvania. Oh, this is where Mr. Merkel is from. Pennsylvania, ladies and gentlemen. Home of the confessionals. All right, so what's going on in Pennsylvania? Let's find out. Or at least what was going on in 2007. We just moved into our new house, and when we got there, it was like 11 at night, so it was really pretty dark, and it wasn't a whole lot of fun. We moved the couch and some other stuff into our new house, and that's when it all began. And I laid on the couch with my dog in between my legs and watched out the window, and it was fun until the rest of the family fell asleep except me, and I heard something loud upstairs. What? Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it said something else, but it says my dog Poppy. I thought it said Poopy. I was like, what? But that's two P's, not an O-O-P. So my dog Poppy darted up the stairs, and then I heard her yipe, and she came back down with her tail between her legs. Then I went upstairs and looked, and all of a sudden it got really cold. So I got my sweatshirt on and continued looking around. It was in my room, what it was, and it made lots of noise. So I sat in my room. My closet door swung open. I looked around and saw nothing. I walked back down and sat, and there I heard something or someone walk across my bedroom floor, and before I knew it, it was morning. It stopped. To this day, my TV still turns on and off, and my bedroom door, even when it's locked, swings open. Also, my closet doors slide, and they open, but I know whoever it is, it won't hurt me. My dog wakes up and barks at midair, and I'll wake up and my TV will be on Discovery Channel with the show A Haunting. And my windows will be open and it will be cold, but I can live with it. Wow. Well, I guess, if you're okay with that, good on you. That seems like it's kind of that's kind of assertive, I guess, as far as a haunting is concerned. And again, we talk about it from time to time on the show, but as we always get new listeners, I like to repeat this because I think it's important. But if you do feel like you have something going on in your house, and it's not necessarily malicious, claim your space, talk to it. Just say, hey, okay, here's the deal. I don't believe you're negative, but if you are, you need to get the hell out. You're not welcome here. But if you're good and kind and loving and this is your home as well, then here is what I find okay, and here's what I find not okay. And if you're going to stay, you need to observe this. And Jeffrey Seelman he's an exorcist and spiritual teacher and a wonderful guy, and a friend as well. But he says, these were people in most cases, and they have the same quirks that they had in life. And some people, will just be a little belligerent. But once you talk to them and kind of set them straight, they don't want to have hassles either. So most often they'll just work with you because they just want the right to exist. And, I think that a lot of times, spirits that are occupying a space, when other people move into it, they may not like your drapes. They might not like your posters. They might not like what you're doing to their house. And, it's really not their house anymore. This is, I'm kind of torn on this personally. But according to Jeffrey, this is not their house anymore. They are not where they're supposed to be, and they should be moved on. And I respect that. I do. But to me, I don't know. I enjoy the paranormal, I guess. Not that I like things to be really creepy and really aggressive. I certainly don't want that. But the idea that there's spirits around, to me, is usually pretty cool. I'm pretty cool with that. But if you're not, I think you're within your rights to say, get out, or I'm bringing someone here to get you out. And as these spirits were at one time human in many cases, then they don't want trouble. They don't want to have hassles. They don't want to go to battle and fight and argue. Most people just want to be left alone. So in many cases, maybe they'll just go dormant, or they'll end up getting out. I don't know. But it's up to you, I guess. You kind of gotta decide what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. But there's many stories out there of where spirits have served as protectors. And I think that that's kind of cool. If you have a good relationship with them, maybe they'll look out for you. Maybe they'll keep things safe. I don't know. There's plenty of stories out there of people who are going to break into a home and they saw a ghostly apparition in the window staring at them, and they decided not to, and the family that lived inside were saved. This is allegedly in one case, the person was captured later and went into the story about what he had done and what he had tried to do. And he went through his locations that he was trying to burglarize. And, he had weapons, so he was prepared, for things to get ugly. And if they got ugly, I guess he would do what he had to do. And that's scary because nobody has the right to be in your house. And, so it's kind of cool to think that in some cases, these spiritual presences actually defend their home, that home, and the family that lives there. So I heard another story one time long ago, and I can only paraphrase it. But essentially, this young girl and her mom lived alone, but she got a boyfriend, and the boyfriend really seemed sweet and wonderful at first, but the girl had always been familiar with this haunting in this house, but she was cool with it. And she said the boyfriend of the mom became suddenly aggressive and threw her across the room and was going to punch her. And suddenly he was lifted off his feet by something unseen and thrown across this room and smashed into a TV. And so something defended that child. And that to me is incredibly epic. That's really, really cool. So I wish there were more of those out there defending the people that need defending. So, but very cool. What do you think? I don't know. Do you think you'd like a ghost hanging out with you, taking care of you, helping to take care of the house, or would you rather they weren't there? I'll be curious to hear your responses, whether you respond in the comments of the video or you respond right here in our chat. It's up to you. Or if you want to call in and let me know what you think. The lines are always open here on the portal. It's 720-923-0500 is the call-in number. If you want to share your thoughts on that topic, I'd love to hear what you got to say. Again, 720-923-0500. Chev says he's cool with it. Yeah, I agree with you, Chev. I think that's right. I mean, if they're not disruptive and they're just kind of keeping an eye on the place. There's another story that I thought was really cool. Again, one that I read long ago, but it had to do with this boy who didn't have a father, and he and his mom moved into this old house, and he was up in the attic kind of nosing around and came across this chest, and then suddenly there was an old man standing there. And the boy, of course, was terrified at first, but over a period of time, he would go up into the attic and talk to this old man. And he became like a grandfather to this boy who had no male figures in his life. And he would tell him about the days at school. And, he said he didn't ever remember the old man talking back, but he would nod and smile and sit there and listen. And he talked about how it was such a heartbreaker when he had to move away. And he just still wonders how that spirit was doing now, or what was going on in that situation. But what a neat experience. So I don't know. I like that kind of stuff. Mr. Don's in the chat room. Good to see you, Don. I tried to call you earlier, but you're not real good at answering your phone. I just wanted to let you know I uploaded the first of our podcasts tonight. Looking for the release hopefully tomorrow if everything goes right, but I guess we'll find out. So, been busy. Oh, really? I know you have. I know you've been busy, and it's a busy day for all of us, brother, but that's a big deal. So, always laugh at your stomach. All right, so let's continue on. I'm just looking to see if anybody else responded to that question. Yep, happy Ostara, everyone, or Easter, or the death of snow, whatever you want to celebrate. Happy that to you guys. Again, I'm not preaching religions here, but whatever you're celebrating, I hope you had a wonderful day doing it, whatever and however you celebrated, as long as nobody got hurt. So, let's see. Continuing on. All right, next one is coming from South Carolina, ladies and gentlemen. Orange County girl, happy Easter. She's drinking a beer, I think. That's what happy Easter is, right? Oh, man. I did have my flip-flops on, and I was barefoot today as well, Julia. I was in a real happy place today. I don't like wearing shoes or socks. I've been barefoot ever since I could tolerate it. I do occasionally wear my slippers in the mornings when I get up. It's cold because we turned off the heat in our house because it's like, hey, we're going to save some bucks. But yeah, exactly. I used that last night on our episode, D. I don't know if you caught the name, but it was, what the hell did I say? Something egg. I don't remember. It had to do with egg and paranormal mayhem, but whatever I called it, I used the egg dash something. Oh, nice. Lewis had his nephew's birthday party tonight. Very cool. Oh, D, I know. All right, just making sure. Death of snow, that's what I'm celebrating, Duck Sauce. You know that's right. Jon Snow died, but he rose again. So did Jesus. Yeah. Weird, huh? All right. Let's continue. It was very extreme. Everything's extreme. Oh, did I say exciting? Maybe I did. I might have said exciting. All right. Let's see what's next. South Carolina is next. It seems I have a paranormal experience just about every day. A couple days ago, something happened, and I was in my apartment on my knees praying before I went to bed. And it was about 2 a.m., and there was nobody here but my husband and myself, and the television, radio, computer were all shut off for the night, and nobody was here but my husband and I. And all was quiet until I heard laughter. It wasn't just any kind of laughter. It was a sound of two children laughing right in my ear. That's got to be creepy. I quickly finished my prayer and opened my eyes. And of course, there was nothing there. And so I told my husband, and he thought it was strange that he didn't hear it at all. So I kind of blew it off and went to bed. This morning, my mom sent me a message on text at about 6 in the morning, and she asked me if I would please call her. I thought it was a little odd, but I did as I was asked. And so when I got her on the phone, she's all excited, and I asked her what's going on, and she said, what? And what she said totally shocked me. She told me that just a little bit earlier, my dad had told her that something woke him up at 2 a.m. that morning, and he was just laying in bed, and he heard singing. It wasn't just anyone singing, it was two children singing. And he said that he just listened to it until he finally fell back asleep. About an hour later, he told my mom that my 10-year-old, what? About an hour later, after he told my mom that, my 10-year-old brother woke up and said, Amy has kids. My mom was shocked, so she asked him, what is he talking about? And he told her that he had a dream that he was playing with my kids, which is totally weird since I've only been married a year and don't have any kids. That is really weird. The whole children laughing in your ear thing. I don't know. I mean, it's there was a meme that was going around on the internet. It was like, how did it go? I'm trying to remember so I don't just abuse it and brutalize it in the translation, but it was like, a baby laughing is about the most sweet sound in the world, unless it's 3 a.m. and you don't have a baby. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. I may even have shared that on the portal. God, that would have been like a year and a half or so ago, but yeah, pretty funny line. And that's true. It's cute until you don't have children. Then it's creepy. All right, so let's see what's going on next here. And next, we're going to Illinois, otherwise known as Illinois. Wonder how they got that that S silent. I don't know. So you got Missouri that puts an A at the end. You got Illinois that makes a quiet S. God, what else? What other ones are there out there? There's like these weird functions of language. It's like, well, if the S is silent, why don't you just knock it off? Illinois. I don't know if that's a First Nations word or not, though. I'd be curious to learn that, though. I'll have to look it up. Oh, yeah, Arkansas. Because there isn't Arkansas. It's Arkansas. Good point, Duke. Good point. Yeah, that's the function. Illinois is probably a French name. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, too, Duck Sauce. I was thinking maybe it's French. Because, they always do that on their words. They always throw in letters they don't bother saying. All right, so let's continue here. Illinois, what's going on there? Ooh, this is kind of a longie. All right, so let's see. I always felt that something was around me, and I couldn't see it, but I knew it was there. And I've always felt afraid. Sometimes I would enter someone's home and feel the presence, or sometimes the hairs on the back of my neck would stand up. I never wanted to see or feel anything, but I always did. I'm going to tell you a few times that this has happened to me. When I was a young girl, I was very rebellious in my upbringing, and my mom would ground me, and after the punishment, I would start all over again. One night after my mom's rantings, I was in my bedroom, very upset with her. Me upset. It was my fault. I was grounded. And I heard my name being called. I just sat there, not moving, and I wanted my mom to suffer for grounding me. Just then, I heard my name being called again, except just a little louder this time. And I sat there, not moving. The third time my name was called, I knew my mom was angry, and I suddenly thought, I better get to moving and find out what she wanted. And when I walked into her bedroom slowly and I called her name, she didn't answer. I called my mom's name again and into her bedroom slowly, and I called her name, but she didn't answer. I called her name again. Sorry, I ended up reading this twice. And then realized she was already asleep. She snored really loud. When I had awoken her from her sleep, she then asked what I wanted. And I told her she called my name, and I came to see what she wanted. And she sat up and told me she did not call my name. I was so scared. I ran to my mom, jumped into her bed with the covers over my head, and forced myself to sleep. Another time, I was on my mom's couch, and my back was facing her kitchen, and my face was facing the couch, and I looked downwards with my eyes and saw someone come from the back of my mother's bedroom. Thinking it was her, I faked like I was asleep, being that she was upset with me, and I with her, and I felt the presence walk over to where I was lying and peeked down over me, watching to see if I was asleep. I laid that way until the presence left me and went back the way it came. The next morning, I asked my mom if she came into the living room to see if I was resting or not. Oh, yeah, I see there's a phone call. We'll get to it in just a sec. Facing the couch, blah, blah, blah. Next morning, I asked my mom if she came into the living room to see if I was resting or not. She looked and told me she did not leave her bedroom. I was frightened again. When things like that happened to me, I'd call my grandma, and she would help me understand those things and that I didn't understand. And she would tell me it was my aunt looking over me. Another time was when my daughter was sick in the hospital. I was so upset I couldn't sleep, eat, or drink anything. I knew she was going to pass over, and I could not accept her passing. I was alone, and I needed to speak with somebody. And while sitting alone, someone entered my room and sat down. I briefly looked over and saw this young man dressed in white, and he smiled at me and asked what was wrong. I looked into his face, and I can't remember how he looked, and I felt so at peace and started telling him about my daughter who was sick in the intensive care unit and everything that was bottled up inside of me. And I cannot tell you to this day how I fell asleep, but I did. The next morning, the hospital staff woke me and told me my daughter was not doing so well and for me to go see her for the last time. I then began to ask about the person who had come into the waiting room and put my mind at ease, and the hospital staff looked at me and told me there was no such person that was on duty last night. When I asked again and described the young man to the hospital staff, I was told the same thing, that nobody was on duty that night who fits that description. After my daughter passed, I would hear in my living room walking around in her walker. I'd pray that she would not come into my bedroom, and she would come down the hall. I would pray that she would not come into my bedroom, and she would come down the hall towards my bedroom, and that is where she would stop. Then the walking would start all over again, but never did she come into my room. I knew then that she was at peace, and that helped me to cope with the loss that I felt with her being gone. I've had a lot more experiences, which is far too much to write. Maybe sometime in the future I'll share some of my other experiences. So very cool. Very tragic though. God, burying a child, I don't know how anybody could do it, and I my heart just breaks for anybody that's had to. God. All right, so let's talk to who's on the phone. Who is calling me now?
What?
What?
Who would be calling you at this time of night?
I know. Who's bugging me? I got a show to do here.
Well, I have a story I wanted to tell.
Oh, by all means, please tell.
Well, last night after I left the show,
Yeah.
I was standing outside by my pickup,
Mm-hmm.
and I look up above, and I see this flashing red and green light, and it was flying kind of north, and then it banked, and it started flying towards me, towards the house, towards the studio.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, wow, what is that? And then all of a sudden it just stopped. And then this red light just went around. It just went around the whatever the perimeter was, wherever the lights were coming from. It was just really weird. Wow. And, we've talked about, how, weird lights in the sky and, how they like when you told your story, mm-hmm. The lights, kind of rotated around a little bit.
Yes.
But the thing that really whacked me out was that it just stopped in the middle of the sky.
Wow.
And then I stopped and I stepped to the side and I looked past the studio there, and there was another one sitting lower in the sky doing the same darn thing.
Guess what I'm going to be doing tonight?
Maybe I finally have, huh?
Guess what I'm going to be doing tonight?
Well, are you going to be outside with your binoculars?
Hell yeah, brother.
Right on.
So
So
you
maybe I finally saw something.
good deal. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, did you notice any noise? Like a
No, no noise, but it was pretty far up though.
yeah, but still, I mean, if it's a helicopter, you're gonna hear that thumping of those
Well, that's
blades.
true.
Yeah, you can't miss
Yeah.
that. They've been even when they fly over the lake going by town, I can still hear that thump plain as day. So there would be no way you would mistake
Huh.
that, and it certainly wasn't a plane if it stopped.
No, not at all. Not at all. So
Very.
it was just kind of weird.
Uh-huh.
And maybe you should go out there with your binoculars and your camera tonight and see if there's anything flying around out there.
Absolutely, I definitely will. I mean, that this is the area that I saw mine, the first one anyway. I did see something back in Minnesota after that, but it was like this is the place where I had my amazing experience. So I'm really thrilled that you had one too, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Don on the phone,
Well,
by the way, just in case you're wondering. So our portal skeptic finally saw something, ladies and gentlemen.
maybe, maybe. All right. Well, I just wanted to share that real quick, and well, I just wanted to share that. I'll let you get back to the show, Brent. We'll talk later.
All right, brother, we'll talk soon. Have a good night. Thanks for calling.
All right. You too, bud.
All
Bye.
right, see ya. But he said you too, bud, but I didn't call. He called. Oh man, that's awesome. I'm really glad he had that experience. And actually, he tried to text me to come out last night as he was standing out there, but he said he didn't dare move because he didn't want to lose it. He wanted to keep his eye on it, but he's like, he texted me and called me, and I had my phone here in the studio, and I was out making something to eat, so I missed it completely. And then I got in back in the studio about an hour or so later, and then I was like, oh my god. So apparently things be hopping up here in the studio area. And I live right in a town. Now it's a small town. I don't know. It's about 12,000 people, I suppose. Sandpoint is, which is the name of the town that I live in. And but people often assume in most cases that a lot of this stuff happens out where nobody is. But I don't think that that's true at all. I just think people in towns are just focused on their in town stuff and they don't look around very much. And sure enough, Don had an experience, and it's really cool that he had that. I'm really really thrilled actually because I know he's been looking. He's been looking for a long time, so it's really cool that he finally saw something that he at least immediately he can't substantiate now. Depending on his mind, where he's at with this, if he if he really wants to go back and hang on to his paradigm, he'll probably figure out a way to explain it away. But if not, then he's just opened his eyes and seen something completely fantastical. So very cool. Now I do want to say a friend of ours has a site called tfetch.com, and he asked that I put a shout out to him and ask people to go check it out. We have Teespring for the portal and stuff, but now my friend whose name is Thomas, he doesn't actually actively sell things, but he basically reviews a lot of different t-shirt sites and stuff and designs and all that stuff. And he's got a few sweetheart deals that he has as promotions to other sites. But so definitely check it out if you can. That would be really cool. We would appreciate that. But if you want you want some portal gear, head over to teespring.com/stores/paranormal-portal and check it out. And there's some mugs up there. I got Don and I both came up with a few slogans to throw on mugs, so you'll have to see if one of them fits your needs. But I think a few of them are pretty clever. But I'm kind of biased though too, so you never know. I'm not even sure how long I've been at this. It's just oh Jesus, I did not mean to do that. I clicked something accidentally, but that's just how it rolls up here. Let me see. Let's rent a boat and go look at night. Who said that? Oh, Julia. Yeah, no kidding. Getting out on the lake would probably be an excellent viewing opportunity to get out there and look and see if there's something going on above the town. This town, Sandpoint, that I mentioned earlier, ladies and gentlemen, is really bordered on 3 of 4 sides by a huge body of water called Lake Ponderay. And it's a huge inland lake. It's deeper than hell. And apparently there's a monster living in there called the Ponderay Paddler. But all that aside, maybe we could see that too, Julie. You never know. We'll either see some Bigfoots or some Ponderay Paddlers or some UFOs. There's all of that going on up here. This is like a really weird area, but it's kind of makes it make sense that the portal's here, right? And maybe there's a lot of portals here, but not that I know of anyway. Okay, so let's continue. Where's the next one? I got 2 stories left. I still didn't see how long I've been doing this. We're at 46 minutes. How long is this one? This one is not long, and the next one is not long. So we'll be in good shape. Let's do these last 2 stories, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see where we end up. But that'll probably wrap up tonight's edition of the Paranormal Portal. But I want to check and see. I was looking for a little confirmation there. Nope, nothing yet. I'm checking email because I want to make sure that they got our files. All right, so back here, we're going to North Carolina right now, ladies and gentlemen. And let's see what's going on in North Carolina. It says, I am writing this on behalf of my husband. He's still a little weirded out by his experience, and I believe he's been a skeptic for a while, whereas I've had my own experiences and was excited to hear he believes this is above and beyond normal. Kind of like how I feel about Don's situation. I'm excited that he had an experience too. Here's a little background. He's in the U.S. military and is stationed at a base that was once used as an African-American basic training camp back in 1945. It is still in use today as a schooling facility, and all the original buildings still stand, and most are condemned. And the building where this took place was used as the brig in 1945, or as we know it, the jail. And it's now used as a communications building. This story actually happened on the very night that I'm writing this, and I just got off the phone with my husband who was on duty, and he was taking a dinner break, and his friend had left leftovers in their office fridge, and which is in the communications building, and I mentioned, and he has his keys to the building, which is locked, indicating that no one was working this late at night. My husband walked into the main facility, or the main hallway, and was searching for his key to open his office when he heard each door down the hallway open and close with 5-second intervals between them. Each door is also locked, and every night when the office hours are over. The last door that opened and closed is his own that was right in front of my husband, who physically watched the door do this. Mind you, all the doors were locked. He heard the knob pop, the lock open, and the door open and close. And as this wave came towards him, he glanced through the glass of his office and watched all of the computers turn on to their startup screen, and all of the computers are shut down nightly. As the last door opened and closed, my husband instantaneously felt as if he was burning up, as if he was sitting in front of a furnace. Well, needless to say, my husband hightailed it out of there and doesn't want to go back. Unfortunately, he works there, so I hope he takes notice of the computers, whether or not they're still on tomorrow. That's really crazy. Now, what is that? Is that an intelligent spiritual thing, or is that more of just a strange energy wave? I don't know what to think about that, because that's a very unusual situation, and it's the kind of situation that is almost never ever observed. And so to have someone standing there observing it and the phenomena continues, it sounds almost like a residual kind of thing, like it was going to happen no matter what. But it doesn't sound like it was intelligently trying to avoid displaying itself like most hauntings do. I mean, certainly they'll lash out and stuff, but for the most part, most hauntings don't seem to go for, I don't know, I guess they do. But it seems like when you catch paranormal activity, it's absolutely a rare thing. So if you catch a door opening and closing, that's an incredibly powerful and incredibly rare event. And for this guy to sit there in the hallway and watch all those doors open and close, open and close, open and close, and then when it gets to him, he feels this blast of heat like he's standing in front of a furnace. I mean, is that is that a demonic thing? I mean, would that make sense? He doesn't talk about any strange smells, but the heat almost sounds like an energy wave then at some, to some point, to some extent. It doesn't sound like, I don't know, because the office computers were turning on as well, which would seem to be an energy kind of thing as well. So I don't know. I don't know what was going on there, but it doesn't sound like a normal kind of haunt at all. It sounds incredibly peculiar, like some kind of wave of energy was just going through that building at that time. A long time ago, I had a really strange experience, but and, I used to install countertops, and they were Corian countertops. So we go into these multi-million dollar houses and install countertops, or sometimes businesses or whatever. It was a pretty cool job. It was a lot of hard work, a lot of grunt work and stuff, but it was cool. And we were at this house and we were parked. We'd been working all morning up until lunchtime, and so we went out to the work van and we're sitting there and eating our lunch. And I was sitting there, and we had the van parked and backed into a garage, but the nose of the van was sticking out outside of the garage. Facing us was the front yard. It was a beautiful sunny day, and the front yard had this manicured lawn and these big pine trees because it was in Minnesota and there's a lot of pine trees there. But so I was just sitting there, had just eaten my sandwich and was kind of just sitting there sipping my Coke or whatever that I was drinking. And I saw this pillar of light, and it was very faint, but I could see it. I could see it plain as day. And it appeared just kind of coming slowly through the yard, just this pillar of light. And it wasn't like a hole in a cloud or anything like that. It was a clear day. So it was already sunny. There wasn't like a big bushy clouds overhead. But it was just this absolutely refined pillar of light. And it was very faint, but I could see it clear as day. And it was moving across the lawn very slowly in front of me. And I'm like, oh my God, what is that? And the guy I was with, he was like, what is what? And I said, there, do you see it? And I pointed out the front window of the van that we were in. And I saw clearly this pillar of light going across the lawn. He's like, what are you talking about? I don't see anything. I said, it's like a pillar of light, but it's really faint. Can you see it? It's right there. And I pointed. And for the life of him, he could not see this. And for the life of me to this day, I'm still wondering, what is that I saw? What was that? Did I see just a natural energy of the earth, the nature energy of some kind? I don't know. I still struggle to understand what it is I observed that day, but I was the only one that could see it. And I had someone sitting right next to me, so we had the same vantage point essentially, except, maybe by a 1.5 foot difference. But there's no reason he shouldn't have been able to see that. But I don't know. So it kind of reminds me of this story in a way, just like this energy moving through at its own pace, doing whatever it does. And is that an intelligent action, or is that just the reaction this energy has upon things it comes in contact with? He felt it as a heat energy as it moved past, but did it cause the doors to mechanically function? I don't know. Very strange. But it seems to me that this doesn't seem like an intelligent kind of thing. It just seems like an energetic anomaly of some kind. But again, I'm purely speculation. I have no basis for that other than, it just doesn't sound like a normal kind of haunt. The last story for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is coming from Illinois again. Excuse me. All right, so Illinois. Oh, now this is funny because we were just talking about Lorraine Warren passing, passing, and we were talking about the Annabelle doll and how it's actually a Raggedy Ann doll, is what that Annabelle doll actually is in real life, even though it's not depicted that way in the movies. And the story I'm about to read has to do with the Raggedy Ann doll. By the way, the ghost detector's not doing anything tonight. Don, if you're still there, it's doing nothing. It's been quiet all night, so very strange. Says, this happened when I was 7 or 8 years old, and my older brother, sister, and I would go down to this creek near our backyard to play, and we would sit and catch tadpoles. And now one day we went down there and there was this doll in the creek, and I think they are called Raggedy Ann dolls. And though I'm not completely sure, it was face down in the muck and it looked old and worn out, like it had been made in the late 1800s. And its clothing was torn and the back of the head looked like it had been burned, perhaps. And we really didn't pay any attention to it. And we kept going about our usual, it says usually routine of looking at frogs and catching tadpoles. We then headed back to the area of the creek where the doll had been, and I noticed, as did my brother and sister, that the doll had been moved. At first we thought that somebody tricked us, and so we passed by not thinking anything of it. Now, I know this part is going to sound like I made it up, but I swear it is the truth. The doll had turned and faced us as we walked past. When we saw this happen, we ran out of the creek. We tried to tell our parents what had happened, but of course, they didn't believe us. We decided to never, ever go back to that creek again. That's very strange. If you go on YouTube, you can find some videos of people allegedly recording what are supposed to be haunted dolls and watch them move. Most of the time, the movements are incredibly subtle, and they have to be sped up on the cameras in order to look like actual movement because they're so gradual. But it does defy explanation when that happens. But something like this is very, very creepy. And the fact that it's a Raggedy Ann doll as well, that's even a little bit creepier, ladies and gentlemen. But we have reached the end of our bedtime stories. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope that makes you Randall Electric said nature spirit. I think he's referring to that, what I saw. I think so too. I guess if I was to try to encapsulate it in a term, that's what I thought I saw too. But it's still one of those things I just don't know. I can't be sure, but yeah, that's what occurred to me as well. So great minds, right? Hard to describe. Donna tracks the paranormal. It seems to, Aussie. That's true. I know the Ghost Box application is always more busy when he's here. It doesn't seem to do much when it's just me. So then again, his microphone goes to hell all the time too. But I don't know what's wrong with the man. The man's touched. Why are you so broken, Don? All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap it up for tonight, though. But again, be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day and try to laugh as much as you can. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for being a part of the portal. And again, for continuing to perpetuate its success. You guys have done an amazing job spreading the word about the portal, and please continue. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe and like and follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Paranormal Portal, PORTL. We'll be there watching for you. So love you guys, and that's going to wrap it up. So sweet dreams.